morning. It's about 4 something in the morning. I am starting to try to wind my day down, and I figured I would pull out one of the bath bombs. This is the one that I showed you that you couldn't see in the bag. It's a rose lemon called Love Spell. So I'm going to drop this in the tub and let's see what she does. Um, and we'll go from there. Alrighty, dropping her in. I wasn't expecting that, but okay. So I guess it's gonna make the water like gray. I guess. Still going though. I mean, it's a pretty big size bath bomb, so obviously I guess it's gonna take a minute. The bubbles, I don't know if you guys can see this, has this strange green hue to them. Smells pretty good though, I'm not gonna lie. Pretty heavy in relation to the rose, which is totally fine. I mean, that's why I bought it, because I do like the smell of rose. And now that the green is going, kind of, the green bubbles are fading, we're getting more of a, yeah, see, more of a gray, like a purpley gray. But it's still going. I mean, it's probably about the size of probably a golf ball. Nope, not quite a golf ball. Bigger. Still bigger. And it's still got plenty more going. So anyway, I am going to give this probably another minute, and then I'm going to hop in here and I'm just going to soak and decompress a little bit. Like I said, since I'm trying to wind down and get ready to go to bed and get some shut-eye. How weird is that, watching that thing bob like that? I'm not going to tell you any lie. I'm having trouble wrapping my mind around that. I'm going to have to look up at some point when I have some downtime how exactly these are made and see what might be causing that with that spinning thing. So, all right, I'm getting in the tub. They have been right there making these faces at me the entire time I have been in the tub. The fact that I'm in the tub altogether has freaked them out. And add to it, now that I am draining the water, they are even more wigged out. So, bless them. Poor babes. I'm getting out. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Well, you know, technically afternoon, but still my morning. I've gotten up, I've fed Fuzzies, and now I'm sitting down having my coffee, trying to get myself out of this sleepy haze. I am past night 7 of the castor oil and the belly button thing. So there were a lot of various reports of different things, like people losing weight, people having like increased bathroom frequency, them evacuating all sorts of strange and unusual things. And I didn't see any of that stuff. I did not lose any weight from it. But it did make me sleep really good. With or without the melatonin, I have slept great. That habit of waking up in the middle of the night kind of went away. So that like late night mid sleep intermission is gone. So for that alone, I guess that's a bonus, and I'll keep doing it. Still putting it on my face. Skin still feels amazing, you know. So now I'm putting all of my regular stuff on, like my hyaluronic acid and stuff like that, and then putting that over it to help hold everything in. Still putting it on my eyelashes, although it's only been a week, so obviously it's going to take a while before I start to see any sort of actual growth, you know. So I'm not even going to hold my breath on it. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Um, so I'm kind of stuck on the whole castor oil thing. I mean, the little bit of benefits that I've got from it are great, but you know, all the stuff that you hear people talk about just didn't happen for me. Maybe I don't have like this drastic detox thing that everybody talks about because I was making such an effort to eat clean. Um, and maybe that's why. I don't know. But I just figured I would kind of give you guys a summary because most people, based on what I was seeing, were seeing all sorts of stuff happen in the first week. Um, but either way, I reckon I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because the little bit of benefit that I did get from it is still there. So, you know, can't knock what works. So I'm going to get off here. I'm going to finish my coffee. I got to put up laundry. And I just I'm just going to kind of chill out until I got to go to work later. I did things kind of backwards this week. Usually I do a 12-hour shift and then I do an 8-hour shift. Well, I wasn't able to get it worked out that way, so I'm doing it 8, then I am doing a 12. So I can't wait to see how that goes because by the time I drive home from shift, go to bed, get back up early enough to get, you know, ready for work and to get on the road and get there, I'm probably only going to be running on about 5 hours of sleep. So, yeah. Yay me. And next weekend is going to be probably a little worse. I've got 3 8s and a 12 scheduled. So starting my work week starts on Thursday, ends on Sunday. And that's because coming up in the middle of November, I'm taking a weekend off because of that face peel thing that I told you guys about that my esthetician lady wants me to try. And ideally, I mean, don't get me wrong, I can go to work with it on because it's the first 2 days you go in and they put this stuff on your face, and then a week later you go back and they peel your face instead of you peeling along the way like you would with a regular chemical peel. But I'm going to look like I've got scarring on my face. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to try to go to work with little old people in the middle of the night looking like I've got a mask on, you know, and terrifying people. So, yeah, I'm taking like a full-on break for that weekend and just skipping it. So I'm making some of my time up ahead of time, and then I'm going to make up a little bit after the fact. So, you know, the next 2 weekends, I'm going to be working a little bit extra to kind of make up missing that 2-day period. And and I will be videoing, you know, the whole process with this peel thing because it's so new. It's only offered in, you know, certain places, is my understanding from talking to my esthetician. But it's supposed to help me get rid of the little fine lines and stuff that I've got. But what I'm after it for is the sunspots that I've got everywhere. It's supposed to help get rid of those. And I'll only have to do it probably once a year. So that will be a drastic improvement over trying to go and have microneedling done, or just like a regular chemical peel where it's only good for like a couple of months. So, yeah, that's what I got. You know, just figured I would give you guys the heads up on the happenings because, you know, I mean, I'm real big on transparency. You know, I mean, I don't really hide anything from anybody. I got no reason to. Not anymore. So, I'm going to get off here and we're going to get on with it. See you later. Hey gang, so I'm on the way home. I know some of you saw that short where I said that weird night. Not anything crazy or anything, just weird in the sense that it didn't go the way that I thought it was going to.
I showed up to work about 20 minutes early. I do that every time I go to work because the facilities that I go to, I don't know specifically where I'm assigned to until I get in the building. So it gives me the opportunity to figure out my bearings, to get in there, to get report, to count the NARC drawer, all that stuff. I walked in the door, found where I was supposed to be, and got to the nurse's station. And just as I'm putting my bag down, two nurses come out of one of my patient rooms. And they're both going, "Oh yeah, he's got to go. He's got to go. He's got to go." And I was just like, "What's up?" And they were both like, "Oh, this guy in here, his O2 sats are really, really low, and we've checked it twice, and one time it was 52, and then we went back and checked it again, and it was 71." And the O2 sat is that little monitor that we've seen Foodie Beauty use recently on her finger. Anything below mid-90s is not great. Anything below 90 is like needing some sort of immediate intervention. And they said that they had given him like a breather treatment to try to fix it, and it didn't fix it. And he had oxygen on at 3 liters a minute, which wasn't doing anything. And so they were sending him to the ER. A couple minutes later, EMS is there. They pick him up. They run off with him. And I didn't think anything of it, but they were both telling me the LPN, one was an LPN, one was an RN. They were both telling me, "Oh, yeah, he's not coming back tonight. They're going to admit him. The census is low over there, so you're not going to have to worry about seeing him again." About 1, I called because, I like to do like a check-in note sort of thing saying that I've called and, to see if they have any info. The nurse that I got over there actually said, "Well, I haven't been in there just a little bit because, we had to run a code on somebody. And, but I will tell you what we did do. We did a chest x-ray on him, and we did an ABG, which is an arterial blood gas. And I don't have results back on any of that yet, but when I get something, I'll call you back and let you know." And I said, "Okay, cool." And I went on about my business. Well, about 2 a.m., I get a call from the hospital saying, "Hey, we're sending him back to you. We're getting him on the stretcher to send him into the ambulance now." And I said, "Oh, okay." I was like, "All right then. So, what did we decide was wrong with this gentleman?" And she said, "Well, nothing's wrong." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And she said, "Well, we did his chest x-ray and his ABG came back clear. Everything was normal." I said, "Okay." I said, "So what are we thinking the issue was here?" She said, "Well, his oxygen saturation was fine in the ambulance, and it was fine the entire time here. The only thing that we noticed that was out of place is his hands were freezing cold." And I am not going to tell you any lie. I just kind of I didn't know what to say. I said, "Oh, okay then." And she said, "Yeah, might take 5 minutes to get him loaded up on the ambulance. He'll probably be to you in the next 15 or 20 minutes. I was like, "Okay." And I hung up the phone, and the lady that was assigned at the station with me, I told her what the news was, and she said, "Are you freaking kidding me?" And I said, "Nope." I was like, "I'm serious as a heart attack." And she and I just both laughed. We couldn't help it. Then I ended up having to go around to the other nurse's station because I had to pick up something from around there. And the shift supervisor actually asked me about the situation to see if I had heard the update, and I explained everything to her, and she ended up laughing. She's like, I don't know how to feel about this. She says, but I'm laughing because what in the world? Oh, sorry, y'all. So, anyway, I ended up having this long ponder session on this situation because all I can think is, okay, there's a lot of flack. LPNs get a lot of flack about not being quite as up to speed on catching things as RNs are. But of these two nurses, one of them was an LPN, one of them was an RN, and they gave the exact same assessment. Okay, his O2 sats were low, nebulizer and oxygen weren't helping. His lung sounds on the top part of his lungs were diminished, which is not normal, and then he had rails in the bottoms of his lungs on both sides, which is not normal. But I noticed when I went in the room after this situation went down about midnight, his roommate had a medication he had to get at midnight, so I rolled in there. The room was freezing cold. The air conditioner was wide open. It was like you could have hung meat from the ceiling in there. It was that cold. And the way the room layout is, the patient that was sent to the ER was on the side of the room where the air conditioner is. So he was catching the brunt of the AC. Now, all I could think was, I was like, where did the common sense go in the situation? Because this gentleman's hands are what medical personnel call contracted. When you fail to use a limb or you fail to use the muscles in a particular area, what happens is they start to tighten. And when that happens, whatever direction is considered flexed is the direction that particular joint moves to. So this gentleman's hands were closed like this. Okay? Both of his hands, not just one. And in order to put the oxygen sensor on his finger, somebody, and I know that each one of them touched him because one of them said she got this reading and the other one said she got this reading. Both of these ladies had to reach down and grab a hold of his hand to pull a finger up enough to get the oxygen sensor on his finger. So how did you not notice that the dude's hands were freezing? I mean, I am not going to tell a lie. I found it funny because it's just like, what the world? Excuse me. But at least one nurse from that facility caught me outside when I was on my break and asked me about the situation. I explained to her, well, his hands were freezing cold, and that's what threw off his O2 sat. And she was very, very upset, saying that it embarrasses the facility. Situations like that embarrasses the facility and it embarrasses the staff, the rest of the staff nurses, because it makes everybody in that building look like they're incompetent. And I told her, she said, not just to EMS, and not just to the hospital, but it makes us look bad to agency nurses like you. And I said, well, I don't think anything ill of anybody in here. I was like, I said, if anything, God's honest truth. I was like, it kind of cracked me up for a minute because, I just couldn't put the rationale together. And, sorry, I'm taking melatonin. This lady, she goes by the nickname Mick. Mick says, even if you think it's funny, she's like, that's still really embarrassing. She said, that makes all of us look bad because, I mean, who in the right mind send somebody to the hospital just because their hands are cold? And I said, I don't know. I said, everybody has an off day. I was like, and maybe that's just all this was. She said, well, basically, we just wasted money for him to go have testing done that he didn't need. So I said, well, I don't know. Maybe there was something new going on there, and the cold hand thing just kind of threw everything out of whack. But she said, no. She said, I've worked on that hallway. She said that he has a long-standing respiratory problems. She says, and him having diminished lung sounds and advantageous sounds, she says, that is his normal. And I was just like, oh, okay. So, I guess I can kind of sort of understand why it is that she feels the way she feels about it, because if it were somebody like me and I come in and I don't work with this gentleman all the time, it would be understandable for me to assume that something new is going on because I don't see him all the time. I am not familiar with his normal. Whereas people who work in this facility, who work with these particular residents all day long, they get familiar enough with the patient to know what their normal looks like. And I understand that prospect because I have had those jobs where I can see very, very subtle changes to people's health and be like, oh no, something's wrong here. Because I was so accustomed to seeing their normal, even though their normal could include things like, major respiratory problems or hypertension or diabetes. Even the slightest little shift stood out because I was so accustomed to seeing them at baseline. So I understand her thought process on why it is that she was upset about it all, but the fact is, it is what it is. He's fine. Everything's okay. We got him back. We got him in the bed. We got him straightened up. Got his oxygen back on him. Bundled him up real good because as soon as I turned the AC down, the roommates started throwing a temper tantrum. So that went the way of the dodo bird really fast. But got him bundled up really good. Gave him his medication that he had scheduled because he was, they didn't, obviously for those people who don't know, you really don't sleep in the ER unless you're drugged. So, gave him his medication, and left him alone and let him sleep the rest of the night, so that's why I said that my night was kind of weird and it kind of threw everything out into that direction because, I wasn't expecting any of that or how it played out, or the conversations that went on around it, So, I'm headed home. I just took my melatonin because I've got maybe another 20 minutes or so to ride before I get home. And I gotta feed my animals and get in the bed, and I took it so that I could go ahead and have it in my system and have it starting to kick in right about the time that I get horizontal.
I'm waiting for the live for our watch party to start. And I was throwing together my video, so this is post-editing sort of deal going on here. And I noticed that my clip from this morning somehow either didn't save or it got deleted or whatever. I did kind of briefly mention what went on. I didn't have any problems at work last night. The fact is that not in relation to patients, which is what I was bracing myself for. But instead, there was drama with coworkers. I had a gentleman who works as a CNA with agency. A conversation kicked off, and we had all kind of conversation, and it went really well. But apparently, earlier in the night or on previous shifts, one of the female CNAs that works the facility had been hitting on this gentleman. And when she made it known that she had multiple children by multiple men, he was just kind of like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just not feeling that. And because he spent a large portion of the night talking to me, including, walking outside with me so that I could take a a break to vape for a couple minutes, she got very upset. She literally came up to the desk at one point because he went into one of her rooms because the bed alarm went off. And when she asked me where it was, I told her, hey, it was in this room down here in 4, but Jay, I'm calling the guy Jay has gone in to take care of it. She said, well, that'll do him some good because he spent the whole night, all he's done all night is talk anyway. And then she said, I'm going to go make sure that he's handling things correctly. Well, he come out of the room a couple minutes later, and he says to everybody at the desk, because there was three of us sitting at the desk, I'm going to the store. Does anybody want anything? And he slid me a piece of paper, and he said, use that. I'm going on break. So I texted him, and I was like, what's up? And he was like, yep. He's like, see, I called it when we were outside. He was like, she's mad about the fact that I went outside with you, and she thinks that you're hitting on me. And, I let her know that it's none of her business. And I said, okay. But he said she accused me of being interested, which I told her I wasn't, but it's also none of her, and that it's also none of her business. And he said, and I am, by the way, interested. And I was just like, oh, okay. One of the conversations that he had with me, that we were talking about was like the complexities of the current dating world and how standards and stuff have changed and everything, and some of the stuff that we had both been through. And he said, my issue is that, I am not, really into the prospect of a casual thing unless you're telling me that's what you're interested in. He says people are not really being open and honest anymore. And I said, well, no, yeah, that makes sense. And I had told him some of the complications that I'd had too, like including the fact that I've been told by friends that I'm too intelligent and that I let it be known too quickly that I'm intelligent and that I should dial it back. But that's never really been my way. And, this guy is very nice. He's not a bad looking man. But he made the comment because the same CNA came out the door to make sure to tell him that she answered one of his call lights. And he said, I already know he's already know it's going to happen. He says they're going to be having a whole conversation about the fact that, he's out there with that white girl. And I was just like, what are you talking about? And we started a whole conversation around that. He is actually mixed. He's half Dominican and he's half African American. So, yeah. Stuff like this is the reason why that I ended up being agency, because I don't want to get involved with in-house politics and stuff like that. But the crazy thing is that this gentleman, Jay doesn't work at the facility. Neither do I. The CNA that he apparently had this initial conversation with did. See, and it's stuff like this that made me not want to be like a full-time person at a particular facility, and I wanted to be able to clock in, do my job, and then clock out and go home, so that I wasn't involved in headbutt sessions like this with people who work together all the time. But here we are. I've gone in. I've done my job. I wasn't going out of my way to flirt with anybody. I was just being sociable because I'm sociable with everybody at work. I had conversations with pretty much everybody over the duration of that shift, but this one conversation with him, and it wasn't like we sat down and talked for hours at a time. It was talk a little bit, work, talk a little bit, work, talk a little bit, work, and we were joking and laughing and stuff like that. And I do that with everybody when I work. I pick at people, I play pranks on people and stuff like that. So I just didn't see anything out of the way with our interaction at all. But this young lady apparently has very much taken it to heart, and she felt a kind of way about it. So I don't know what to do with all that. Anyway, he has my number and I have his. And at this point, I'm just going to kind of let things go on their own and see what happens. I have said previously that I'm not interested in doing like an online dating thing, that I would rather meet someone organically. And if something happens, then cool. If not, then cool. The way I'm kind of viewing things right now is he and I have had a lot of really good conversations, and, you know, we cut up and all that stuff. So worst case scenario, I've made a new friend, you know, which is great for me because, you know, thus far, and I've told you guys, and you've met Nikki. Nikki's really the only friend that I've made thus far, and we don't work together anymore, so we don't get to see each other as much as we you know, could. So yeah, that's what I got. I mean, I was just like kind of caught off guard by the whole situation. But oh, one more thing blew my mind here. For some reason, he had it in his mind that I was his age or around his age, because he said something about, oh, well, you know about that, you know, we're in the same age group. And I was like, and how old are you? I was like, since we're supposed to be in the same age group, how old are you? And he said, well, you know, I don't want to ask you how old you are, because I've learned that you don't ask two things of women, how much they weigh or how old they are. I said, well, I said, you can take a guess. He was like, you're what, like 3 years older than me? He says, I'm 33. And I was like, no. And he was like, okay. I was like, more. And he was like, 5 years older than me. And I was like, no, more. And he was like 8 years older than me. And I was like laughing at this point. I was like, no, more. And he was like, oh my God. He was like, are you willing to tell me? And I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, I'm 45. And he was like, he got this look of shock on his face. He was like, you're 45. He was like, that is really, really hard to believe. He was like, you have taken really good care of yourself. And I was just like, I just laughed about it because, you know, I've said it before, you know, I'll have conversations about how old I am so long as I have people telling me that I look good or I don't look my age. So, you know, that to me was really funny. But, you know, he could have been well blowing smoke up my tail and I would never know. But that whole age difference thing, I will not lie, does make me a little nervous because I am 12 years his senior in age. And another thing too, because of the age difference, we are in two completely different places in relation to, like me, everything in my life is pretty well settled. I have no major bills. You know, I'm getting to the point where I want to slow down just a little bit and enjoy life. And he's on the flip side of that, where he's still building to establish himself a little bit because, you know, I think he rents his home. He's still paying for vehicles and stuff like that. So his work demands are higher. Excuse me. Sorry about that. But realistically, I'm putting the cart before the horse. I'm really not going to worry about it at this point. But, you know, those were just random thoughts that I had on the drive home this morning, which did not save. So now you guys know how my weekend went, and that's what all's gone on. And I came home, I crashed, I slept for about 9.5 hours, and I didn't do a whole lot after that other than, just tidying up and bumming around, catching up on some stuff that I didn't get to listen to, over the course of the weekend, various videos and the like. But I'm fixing to hop off of here because we are fixing to do our Night of the Living Dead watch party, and I'm looking forward to hanging out with you guys. And I will also be seeing you guys tomorrow, and I'm really excited about doing our catch up on the Girl World Haps because, there has been a lot that's gone on, and I will be curious to see what you guys have to say about everything that we talk about. So I'm going to get off of here. I'm going to bum around. I'm going to take care of some things. I'm going to try to take a nap, and I will catch up with you guys tomorrow. Bye, y'all.